Adana was no stranger to ambition. From a young age, she'd envisioned herself at the helm of a thriving empire, breaking barriers and setting new standards. Her natural intelligence and relentless determination set her apart from her peers. By her mid-30s, she had built a multi-million naira cosmetics business, becoming a household name in Lagos. One day, as she sorted through her late grandmother's belongings, she discovered an ornate wooden box. Inside lay the necklace, a serpent-shaped relic with eyes made of shimmering green gemstones. It seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Adana, intrigued and charmed, fastened it around her neck. That evening, her dreams shifted. In the depths of her subconscious, a shadowy figure whispered promises of wealth and influence beyond imagination. She awoke with a newfound determination and an inexplicable sense of foreboding. Adana's success skyrocketed almost immediately. She closed deals that had previously been out of reach, and her company received international recognition. The necklace seemed to act as a talisman, drawing people to her like moths to a flame. Her best friend Chioma, however, noticed unsettling changes. Adana, once warm and approachable, had grown distant and cold. "It's like she's a different person," Chioma confided in her husband one evening. Meanwhile, Adana began experiencing strange phenomena. Mirrors often distorted her reflection, showing the serpent necklace slithering around her neck as if alive. Shadows lingered in corners longer than they should, and her once restful sleep became plagued by cryptic dreams. The turning point came when Adana attended a gala hosted by one of Lagos' most influential families. That night, she overheard hushed whispers about the necklace from an elderly guest who seemed to recognize it. "That is no ordinary jewelry," the woman said. "It belonged to Neka, the priestess of Ogbu. Her greed condemned her to a cursed existence." Haunted, Adana sought out Baba Femi, a reclusive spiritualist rumored to have insight into such matters. Deep in the forest of Oyo, Baba Femi's shrine was an eerie sanctuary, adorned with ancient symbols and relics. "The necklace you wear is powerful," he said gravely. "It grants prosperity, but at a cost. Each success you achieve feeds the spirit trapped within. Eventually, it will demand something you cannot give." Adana brushed off his warning. She was not afraid of challenges, she thrived on them. But as Baba Femi predicted, the necklace's demands soon became unbearable. The more Adana embraced the necklace's power, the more it consumed her. She began losing touch with reality, hearing whispers even in silence. In meetings, she felt an invisible presence guiding her words, ensuring her success but eroding her sense of self. Chioma grew alarmed when Adana started isolating herself. "You're scaring me," Chioma said one evening after Adana abruptly cancelled their plans. "You're not acting like the woman I know." Adana snapped, "Maybe I'm finally becoming the woman I'm meant to be." That night, the necklace revealed its true nature. In a dream, Adana found herself in a dark, foggy forest. Before her stood Neka, the original bearer of the cursed necklace. Neka's form flickered between beauty and decay, her voice dripping with malice. "You've tasted the power," Neka said. "But can you handle the cost?" Desperate for answers, Chioma returned to Baba Femi's shrine without Adana. She begged the spiritualist to help her friend. Baba Femi agreed but warned that breaking the necklace's hold would require immense sacrifice. He told Chioma the full story, Centuries ago, Nneka had been a revered priestess blessed by Ezenwani, the goddess of wealth. The necklace, created as a symbol of divine favor, was meant to aid the just and righteous. But Nneka's greed corrupted its purpose, turning it into a vessel of darkness. "Your friend's soul is already entwined with the necklace," Babafemi said. To save her, she must confront her darkest truths and make an unthinkable choice. Chioma convinced Adana to return to the shrine, though it took weeks of pleading. By then, Adana was nearly unrecognizable, her once bright eyes dulled, her presence tinged with an unearthly aura. The journey to the shrine was fraught with tension. The forest seemed alive, its dense foliage whispering warnings. Babafemi prepared a purification ritual, but the spirits guarding the necklace fought back violently. Adana was thrust into a vision where she confronted versions of herself, the innocent child with dreams of change, the ambitious young woman willing to compromise, and the current Adana, powerful but hollow. Just as the ritual reached its climax, the shrine was enveloped in golden light. Ezenwani appeared, her divine presence overwhelming. She chastised Adana for abusing the gift she'd been entrusted with. "Power without balance destroys all it touches," the goddess said. "You must decide, cling to this path and lose your soul, or let go and begin anew." Ezenwani demanded that Adana relinquish not only the necklace but also her wealth and status. "True redemption requires sacrifice," she said. Adana hesitated, torn between her fear of starting over and the terrifying emptiness consuming her. Chioma stepped forward, her voice trembling. "You have a chance to save yourself. Don't throw it away." With tears streaming down her face, Adana whispered, "Take it all." The necklace shattered, releasing a burst of energy that knocked everyone to the ground. The spirits trapped within, including Nneka, were freed, their anguished cries fading into the ether. Adana collapsed, waking hours later in Chioma's arms. The forest was quiet, and the shrine's oppressive aura had lifted. Babafemi smiled faintly. "You have been given a second chance. Do not waste it." Back in Lagos, Adana struggled to adjust to her new reality. Her company crumbled without the necklace's influence, and many of her so-called allies abandoned her. Yet, with Chioma's unwavering support, she began rebuilding, not as a ruthless businesswoman, but as a compassionate leader dedicated to empowering others. Adana's story became a cautionary tale, a reminder that true wealth lies not in material possessions but in integrity and purpose. Years later, Adana visited Babafemi to thank him. He warned her that the necklace was just one of 3 cursed artifacts, each tied to a deadly sin. "The spirits are always watching," Babafemi said cryptically. "And balance is a fragile thing." Adana left the shrine with a renewed sense of purpose, vowing to protect others from the mistakes she once made. Adana's life after the ritual was a stark contrast to her glory days. Without the necklace's supernatural influence, her business empire crumbled. Investors withdrew, partnerships dissolved, and her once loyal employees sought more stable opportunities. The media pounced on her downfall, branding her as an overreaching mogul who had flown too close to the sun. Despite the humiliation, Adana found solace in her friendship with Chioma. Chioma became her anchor, reminding her of the values they had both cherished in their youth: hard work, honesty, and empathy. Adana decided to restart her life quietly. She moved into a modest apartment in Ikeja and began volunteering with a local non-profit organization that supported young entrepreneurs. For the first time, her success wasn't measured by profits but by the impact she made on others' lives. While Adana's journey toward redemption was deeply personal, it also transformed Chioma. She began to question her own life's purpose. Witnessing Adana's fall and subsequent growth made her realize how much she had neglected her dreams while focusing solely on her family. Chioma approached her husband, Emeka, one evening. "I've been thinking," she said. "I want to start something of my own. Maybe a consultancy for small businesses." I want to help people the way I've seen Adana do. Emeka, initially skeptical, eventually became her biggest supporter. Chioma's newfound ambition brought her and Adana closer, as they began collaborating on workshops for underprivileged youth. One rainy afternoon, as Adana sorted through documents from her now-defunct company, she stumbled upon an old letter. It was written by her grandmother and addressed to someone named Ebo. The letter referenced 3 artifacts: the necklace of greed, a golden staff tied to wrath, and an obsidian chalice linked to envy. Adana felt a chill as she read the words. These items carry immense power, but their origins are shrouded in darkness. They must never be reunited, lest chaos be unleashed. Disturbed, Adana contacted Baba Femi. The spiritualist confirmed that the necklace was only the beginning. The artifacts were crafted in ancient times by a desperate king who sought to control the elemental spirits. They cursed him instead, scattering the items across the land. Baba Femi warned that others might seek the remaining artifacts for their own gain. You faced the necklace and survived, Adana. But the world isn't safe as long as the other 2 remain unchecked. One evening, while visiting a bustling marketplace in Lagos, Adana noticed a peculiar vendor selling an ornate staff. Its golden surface gleamed unnaturally, and the air around it seemed heavy. She approached cautiously. "Where did this come from?" she asked the vendor, an elderly man with clouded eyes. The man smirked. "It finds those it deems worthy. Are you interested?" Adana felt an overwhelming urge to reach out, but Chioma's voice snapped her back to reality. "Adana, don't." The vendor's expression turned menacing. "You're not ready," he hissed before packing up his stall and vanishing into the crowd. Adana and Chioma exchanged worried glances. It was clear the artifacts were resurfacing, and they weren't the only ones drawn to them. Realizing the magnitude of the situation, Adana and Chioma decided to assemble a team. They reached out to trusted friends and experts, including historians, archaeologists, and spiritualists. Each member brought a unique skill set to the table, united by a shared goal: locating and neutralizing the remaining artifacts. Among them was Professor Bamedil, an eccentric historian with a penchant for uncovering lost African relics. The artifacts are tied to ancient stories, he explained during their first meeting. If we study these myths, we might uncover clues to their locations and true nature. The team's first lead took them to a remote village in Enugu, where tales of an obsidian chalice capable of stirring envy among siblings had persisted for generations. They learned that the chalice had caused a bloody feud within a wealthy family decades earlier, leaving the village divided to this day. Adana and Chioma visited the family's matriarch, Mama Udo, who spoke of the chalice's influence. "It feeds on jealousy," she said, her voice heavy with regret. "It turned my children against each other until none were left to inherit our legacy." Mama Udo handed them a map, leading to a hidden cave where the chalice was last seen. "If you find it, bury it deep where no one can ever retrieve it." The cave was dark and foreboding, its entrance guarded by eerie carvings. Inside, the chalice sat on a pedestal, its surface gleaming with a sinister light. Adana felt its pull immediately, a whisper in her mind, promising to restore her lost empire if only she would drink from it. Chioma, noticing her hesitation, grabbed her hand. "Don't let it control you." Drawing on her past experiences with the necklace, Adana resisted the chalice's allure. With the help of Boba Femi's protective charms, they sealed the artifact in a reinforced container, intending to deliver it to a sacred site where it could be neutralized. As the team celebrated their success, one member, turned a charming but secretive archaeologist, revealed his true intentions. He had been working with a shadowy group seeking to reunite the artifacts for their power. Ton stole the chalice and fled, leaving the team reeling. "We can't let him succeed," Chioma said, rallying the group. "We've come too far to let everything fall apart now." The pursuit of Ton led them to a hidden temple in the Niger Delta, where he intended to combine the chalice with the staff and necklace. The temple was alive with ancient energy. It was etched with depictions of the spirits bound to the artifact. In the climactic confrontation, Adana face-turned, drawing on the lessons of her past. "Power without purpose is destruction," she told him. "Don't let these artifacts consume you as they almost consumed me." A fierce battle ensued, with the team narrowly preventing the artifact's unification. Turned, realizing the error of his ways, sacrificed himself to destroy the chalice. With 2 artifacts destroyed, the team turned their attention to the golden staff, vowing to neutralize it before it could fall into the wrong hands. Adana, now a leader in this mission, found a renewed sense of purpose. She began documenting their journey, turning their experiences into a book that warned of unchecked ambition and greed. Years later, Adana and Chioma stood at Boba Femi's shrine, reflecting on how far they had come. "We've faced darkness," Adana said, "but we've also found light in each other." Boba Femi smiled. "Balance has been restored, for now. But the spirits are always watching." As they left the shrine, the sun broke through the clouds, illuminating their path forward. Adana knew her story was far from over, but for the first time in years, she felt truly free.